is Win News.
Tonight, the tears flow at the sentencing hearing over the death of Clea Rose. An emotional farewell for the victim of a Stirling house fire. And a Canberra restaurant chain accused of underpaying overseas workers. Good evening. Tears in the ACT Supreme Court today as the family of hit-and-run victim Clea Rose presented their victim impact statement. The court is hearing submissions before the sentencing of the 15-year-old youth who's pleaded guilty to driving the car which struck and killed the University of Canberra student at the Civic bus interchange at 6 months ago.
6 months to the day since Clea Rose was struck down by a 15-year-old boy in a stolen car, and her family was again united in grief. Her father, mother and sister putting pen to paper to describe their 6 months of living hell. Mother Frances Rose reduced to tears, only able to read the victim impact statement halfway through. Yesterday was Clea's birthday. She should have turned 22. She should have been starting her professional life. Instead, Clea is dead, killed by an underage criminal travelling at high speed. The 15-year-old boy remained still and calm, while his parents and siblings were reduced to tears as the Rose family spoke of their pain. The juvenile has pleaded guilty to several charges, including culpable driving causing death. His case manager describing the cause of events of July 20 as a joyride in a stolen car gone horribly wrong, saying the teenager told him he reacted badly when he heard police sirens. "I just launched it. I didn't want to get busted. I saw the lady out of the corner of my eye. She looked like she was going to go one way and then another." Rick Brown saying the juvenile had also stated he wishes it was him that got hit and not her. Sentencing will be handed down tomorrow. Janine Manwaring, Win News.
Emergency services are at the scene of a roof collapse at the Australian Defence College in Western Creek. The alarm was raised around 4 p.m, with initial reports suggesting that up to 14 people may have been trapped inside the building. The ACT Fire Brigade and Emergency Services personnel, along with ambulance officers, were sent to the scene where they found part of the roof had caved in. The area has been cordoned off as up to a dozen fire crews assess the scene. It's believed the roof on the 5-year-old building collapsed within the space of about a minute. All staff have been evacuated and accounted for, but authorities are planning to conduct a search tonight once the building is deemed safe to make sure that no visitors are trapped inside. It's been a busy night for ACT Fire Brigade attending 2 house fires in the capital. The first blaze occurred at a home in Slight Street at Holt around 2:30 a.m. While the fire was confined to 1 bedroom, the remainder of the house was affected by smoke, and the damages bill has been estimated at $150,000. Just a matter of 5 hours later, the brigade attended a fire at a house in Theodore Street in Curtin. The cost of the damage is expected to reach $20,000. Family and friends today farewelled Derek Adam Davis, describing him as a man who made other people feel good about themselves. His funeral was held at the Norwood Park Crematorium. The father of 4 died in a house fire at Stirling 11 days ago.
As friends and family gathered to farewell Derek Davis, their thoughts were also with his 3-year-old son Ashley. The toddler was trapped in the house fire and remains in a critical condition at the Westmead Children's Hospital. Derek's sister adding her prayers.
I ask of you all to stop and find hope for our little Ashley.
Candles were lit for the child's recovery. His father today described by friends as one of the best dads.
4 great kids over there. Ben, little Nat, big Lukey, and little Ash. Kids, you're what meant the most to your dad.
The children offering their own special words.
Some people say we have the same smile. And I want you to know that you'll always be alive in my smile.
I wish that I could see you, but I know that I cannot.
A warrior's farewell was given before the lowering of the coffin. Maren Cooper, Win News.
Another person has been charged over the death of Australian Federal Police officer Adam Dunning, who was shot while on a peacekeeping mission in the Solomon Islands. 29-year-old Barnabas Basiliango faced Honiara Magistrates Court on a charge of conspiracy to murder and has been remanded in custody. Adam Dunning from Canberra was shot and killed in the early hours of the 22nd of December 2004 while on a routine patrol with another officer in Honiara. 2 other men have already been charged in relation to his murder and they're in custody awaiting trial. A Labor ministerial advisor is being tipped to take the seat of Treasurer Ted Quinlan, who stands down in March. Andrew Barr is expected to be the man next in line for a spot on the Assembly once the votes from the last election are recounted.
The votes are already in, and when Treasurer Ted Quinlan quits politics in March, the recount for his Molongo seat begins. Unlike other electoral systems, ACT voters won't have to go to the polls for a by-election. Instead, the ballots from the last election in 2004 will be counted again.
Look at those papers that were used to elect Ted Quinlan, so only those people who voted for Ted Quinlan get to choose his replacement.
A countback's happened 5 times in the last decade. Labor has history on its side, with the new member always coming from the same party.
If they're voting for a major party candidate, they tend to put preferences for other candidates in that same party before they'll put their preferences elsewhere.
I don't think there's any chance at all of another Liberal member getting up through this recount.
The man tipped to have the votes is Labor's Andrew Barr, who's currently the Chief of Staff to the Urban Services Minister John Hargreaves. Labor candidate Mike Headinger's also in with an outside chance. While the opposition's conceded defeat, it isn't stopping them from making some political mileage out of the resignation.
The opportunity is that it shows the turmoil inside the Labor Party. What you've got is a treasurer leaving because his colleagues will not listen to him.
The Assembly's newest member will be known at the end of March. Troy Cuthbertson, Win News.
ACT police are appealing for any witnesses to a possible assault in Pearce on the weekend. Police say a man aged in his mid-20s was found lying on a footpath in the Beasley Street Athlon Drive area near Marist College shortly after 11 o'clock on Saturday night. The man had suffered head injuries and was taken to Canberra Hospital for treatment. Anyone with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers. A well-known Canberra restaurant chain is being accused of underpaying its overseas staff and threatening to send them back home if they complain. The workers say they want to keep their jobs and they want the exploitation to stop.
Up to 15 international guest workers at Zeffirelli's restaurant claim the owners are paying them at least $6,000 a year below the award.
We should be making something like $1,200 a week, but it's just paying us $701.
When the workers lodged a complaint about their pay and conditions, they claim the restaurant owners locked them out and threatened them with deportation. One of the guest workers says he's had to take out an apprehended violence order against management. Others are also worried about what might happen to them after speaking out.
We are kind of afraid that a worst scenario would be coming soon.
The union says the actions of the restaurant owners are appalling and it fears this could become a trend as more overseas workers are employed in Canberra.
Every time our workers talk to their employer, they're told they're going to be put back on the plane to the Philippines and they better shut up.
It's claimed more workers at Zeffirelli's are being exploited but are too scared to come forward. Management at the restaurant has declined to comment. The Human Rights Office and the Philippines Embassy have been asked to step in and try and resolve the matter. James Goodwin, Win News.
And ahead on Win News tonight, a geek's paradise, hundreds of Canberrans engaging in a mock battle. And a motorcycle convoy of major proportions drives home the road safety message in the capital. A force to be reckoned with. 15,000 motorbike riders and pillion passengers roared into the capital as part of a national awareness ride. The 2006 event has drawn strong political support, with Defence Minister Dr Brendan Nelson and Nationals MP Luke Hartziker joining the ride to Parliament House.
A sight to behold, 9,000 motorbikes lined up along the federal highway at Watson. The riders and their passengers coming from across New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria and Tasmania to join their ACT counterparts for the final leg of the National Motorcycle Awareness Ride. Several politicians in the mix, the country's new Defence Minister Dr Brendan Nelson strapping on his helmet in readiness for the journey into the capital. It's the third time the ride has rolled into Canberra, the first time in 1996 and again in 2001. The aim to raise awareness among motorists about the ever-increasing number of motorcyclists on the road.
A good percentage of actual accidents that happen are in between a car and a motorcycle. So what we're trying to do is make car drivers look left, look right, look bike,
The participants keen to get their message across to those in power too, gathering outside federal parliament for a rally and fun afternoon. Organisers say the day also provided the chance for a meeting with Transport Minister Warren Truss.
And we discussed basically what plans we could put into place, what strategies that could happen in the future.
Madeline Denham, Win News.
Well, the figures are in and it's official. A record number of patriotic Canberrans partied hard on Australia Day. 35,000 revellers turned out for the live concert outside Parliament House, while the fireworks wowed a crowd of 50,000.
Some people caught the bus home, about 1,300 people caught the bus home. It'd be nice to see those figures go up next year in public transport.
The crowd consumed 500 kilos of chips, 1,200 hot dogs and 3,000 soft drinks, creating 60 cubic metres of rubbish, which took 80 man-hours to clean up.
We did leave a lot of rubbish behind. Luckily, 75% of it is made up of recyclable material.
And Commonwealth Park was the spot for families, with 10,000 people flocking to the Children's Festival. The start of a new law year was marked with a church service in Forest today. Attorney General Philip Ruddock attended the service, along with local members of the legal profession and the Commonwealth Parliament and the ACT Assembly.
A morning away from court gave barristers, magistrates and other legal professionals a few moments to prepare for the year ahead.
We're looking forward to a productive year, an interesting year in the legal profession, and hopefully it will advance the cause of human rights both here and elsewhere.
Today's service marked the start of a new law year. ACT Chief Justice Higgins addressed the congregation at St Andrew's Church with a verse from the Old Testament. Those attending also treated to a music recital. Attorney General Philip Ruddock was among those at the service and says demand on legal guidance is growing, with Australians becoming more litigious.
I think people are conscious of their rights and they're conscious that if they need to enforce them, where to look.
A church service is held annually on day one of a new legal year in Canberra.
It's a good time of reunion, I suppose, and it puts all levels of the legal profession on the same level for a brief time as they worship together.
The service concluded with an ode of dedication that members of the legal profession seek to respond to the challenges set before them in the coming months and strive to bear justice. Nicole Isaacson, Win News.
Well, it's now the Chinese Year of the Dog, and today staff and students at the University of Canberra held a ceremony to mark the change. The university refectory featured red decorations, red being the colour of celebration in the Chinese culture. Festivities began with the traditional lion dance. Chinese years rotate in a 12-year cycle. The dog is the 11th.
It represents actually a certain characteristic of people born in that year, like diligence, loyalty, honesty and faithfulness. At that time, maybe a little bit pessimistic.
And some Chinese cuisine was on offer for those eager to sample some unusual delicacies. The celebrations also marked the university's culturally diverse community. 600 people have been engaged in a battle in Canberra, but the only casualties were figurines, with the war grounds set over tabletops. It's part of the Australian Games Convention, CanCon.
With so much dice rolling, you could be forgiven for thinking you were at the casino. Only here, Napoleon gets a second chance at Waterloo and trolls battle lizardmen. Welcome to the Canberra Convention.
Players are broken down between tabletop miniature games, tabletop board games, card games, live role play, pretty much anything. If you can play a game, roll a dice to it, we've got people here playing it.
As men plan the way out of the trenches for their troops, there are 25 trade stands for those here for more than just the combat side of things. And for some, these games are serious business.
Some games cost a bit of money, so we've got people who have researched their armies, they've checked the paint schemes, they know what the history of their force is, so they can take it very, very seriously. Other people, it's just a fun game to play.
Meantime, there were plenty with the travel bug at the National Convention Centre. The expo offering travel deals on airfares, cruises and accommodation.
We've had almost 3,500 people through the expo so far, and they're all after a deal, and there are some great deals to be had.
The number through the doors ballooning out to 9,500 by the end of the day, triple last year's figure. Merrin Cooper, Win News.
Phil has sport for you next. And the Caps in with the finals, Phil.
Yeah, after a weekend win, Pete, that's next. And the Brumbies name their best for a final pre-season hit-out.
Is the only reward you get from your insurance company a no-claim bonus? Unlike some insurers, Allianz gives an additional reward to safe drivers. It's called a safe driver discount. So switch to Allianz and you could save even more. Call Allianz today on 131000 for a quote and more details.
AIS-based swimmer Jade Edmiston has shocked all with a world record on day one of the Commonwealth Games qualifiers in Melbourne. Swimming in the 50 metres breaststroke, Edmiston sliced 0.14 off her previous best record mark set in Montreal last year. The new mark, 30.31. In the 100 Olympic champ, Jodie Henry missed the final with Linda McKenzie fastest. The Canberra Capitals will line up at home on Friday night in the elimination final of this year's WNBL. The Caps will face Bulleen, who finished in 4th spot at the AIS. In the other final, Dandenong to tackle Adelaide at Dandenong. The Caps took Saturday night's match by 3, with Dandenong handed the chance to tie things up late, shooting a major concern for Canberra going into the sudden death.
We lost focus. We worried about things we shouldn't worry about instead of getting back to play right now, play the moment, and that's what got us there, you know.
The Caps shot just 33% from the field and just 64% from the free throw line. The match captain Eleanor Sharp's last at Tuggeranong.
I was looking so forward to coming and playing my last game here at Tuggeranong. You know, it's a place that holds real, you know, a special place in my heart, and our crowd really just made it something else for us tonight.
The game also likely to be Lauren Jackson's last down south as she plans to move overseas next year. The Brumbies will be joined by some of their best for a final pre-season inter-club trial on Thursday night, but Matt Giddo won't be there, still recovering from minor knee surgery.
Matt Giddo has trained strongly since a minor knee operation, but he won't be risking the injury this week, guaranteeing he starts in Game 1 against the Force.
Still really confident with that. I think that's probably the reason for pulling me out. It's so I don't get a little knock and then that'll put me back further. So still looking forward to that first game and really positive.
In a major boost, George Gregan, Clyde Rathbone and Stephen Larkham all back for the run. But Larkham must first come through training for the remainder of the week, and is every chance.
I've got a training run this afternoon that I have to get through, and then one again tomorrow afternoon. And at this stage, if it gets through that, I should be right for Thursday.
The trial will be more a stop-start affair, based around moves and set pieces, which will be used in Game 1.
I'm looking to try and run some of the things that we'll be looking to play in the Force game in a couple of weeks' time. Just a couple of little patterns, some little plays, and work on the other things of training.
The Brumbies to launch their season this week. The countdown to the Super 14 Open are underway.
The Canberra Raiders have re-signed promising up-and-comer William Zillman until 2009. Canberra also joining the race to sign former Eel Jamie Lyon next season. Lyon currently playing with St Helens in the UK. Meanwhile, the Rugby League rookie camp is underway in Sydney. The Raiders have 4 players attending the camp, with Jermaine Ale, William Zillman, Willie Raston and David Milne all on deck. The camp designed to assist in the development of the game's youngsters. Today, 60 players taking part in a sailing session, also addressed by NRL staff and head David Gallup. The Australian Triathlon Series was in full swing in Canberra. The Canberra Capital Triathlon going to Queanbeyan's Aaron Farlow.
Perfect conditions faced a big field in the 2006 Canberra Capital Triathlon. Over 400 turned out for the swim, cycle and run around the lake. With a great understanding of the local course, Queanbeyan's Aaron Farlow too good, winning in 1:54.16 from Peter Loveridge and Pete Shockman.
It was just to really blow out the cobwebs today and sort of leading into a few of the really big races. It worked out really well.
The women's race went to Woden's Michelle Wu in 2:10.13. Attention now turns to Perth, with 2 races of the National Series on offer. And back on the water, the jet skiers finally got their chance. Despite a delay, a large field of sizes and shapes took to the lake for the first time. Organisers hopeful this will be the start of an annual event held in the capital.
And finally tonight, the business end of the local baseball season is looming. At Aranda, it was a one-sided affair with the home side Bandits down to Indians, 18-1. The scrappy match saw the Bandits boosted with the return of their Claxton Shield reps, but unable to make any headway all afternoon. Just 2 more rounds remain before the finals. Other winners, Eagles and Vikings. That's our sport, Pete.
Great, Phil, thanks very much. Cheers. Something to celebrate at your place?
Don't remind me.
Congratulations. I have weather for you coming up next. Then plenty of fun and games for all at Sunday in the Prague. Well, hot and sunny in Canberra today. Some would say too hot. It was 36 degrees at 3 o'clock and reached 37.2 at 12 minutes past 4 this afternoon. Right now, our temperature in Canberra is 32 degrees. Humidity is around 35%. Tablelands weather was fine and very warm. Light winds were mostly from the west or northwest, that's why it's been hot. Temperatures were in the mid-30s and above. On the coast, warm with a moderate northeasterly wind ahead of a southeasterly change that's currently extending to the north. Nowra and Bega were pretty warm, the other centres more temperate. And in the mountains, fine and warm and partly cloudy with a moderate west to northwesterly wind tending fresh to strong at higher elevations. Temperatures at Cooma and Bombala were in the 30s. Cloud to the north is with a monsoonal trough and shows up tropical cyclone Jim, which is moving to the east. There's cloud with a low pressure trough lying over our part of the world, and that should mean a cooler change. There's also a high pressure ridge developing along the south coast. That means we can expect unsettled weather with some showers and thunderstorms tonight before a cooler southeasterly change. So tomorrow should generally be a little cooler than today with some early cloud, then it's back to hot weather. So these forecasts for the coast: mild to warm and cloudy, light north to northwesterly winds turning southeasterly, and temperatures pretty much as they were for today. A warm to hot day in the tablelands tomorrow, unsettled weather generally with change, northwest to southeasterly winds and temperatures in the high 20s, 28 degrees at Goulburn. And the ACT, mild tonight, 15 is the minimum forecast. Chance of a shower or thunderstorm, then cooler tomorrow, thankfully, with the change that we're expecting. UV extreme at 12 and the maximum should be around 28. And looking ahead, pretty warm to hot at first, then becoming unsettled. Well, Commonwealth Park has certainly come alive with families enjoying an evening of music and entertainment at the weekend. Sunday in the Park is being run throughout the summer months, and a warm evening ensured a strong crowd turned out last night to bask in the atmosphere. The younger ones were spoiled for choice with a range of activities on offer. A game of hide and seek proved popular. Some had their faces painted, while others had a hit at cricket. And the National Zoo and Aquarium brought in a few unusual but friendly guests to join in.
This is a corn snake. He's a non-venomous snake. He's all the way from America.
And of course there was plenty of musical entertainment on offer as well. They look like they're having fun. That's our bulletin tonight. The headlines are on the website for you at winnet.com.au. I'm Peter Leonard from all of us here on the Win News team in Canberra. Good night.